So today we have a delightful guest. Her name is Connie Huebner, and she is for many, many years investigating the deeper reaches of consciousness, and in her explorations has been developing a direct communication with the divine mother of the universe. And I will testify to that because as I was talking to her, she was talking to her. Divine Mother has asked Connie to share the tools that she uncovered in her own personal adventure with Mother God. And so, one of the things I did want to say is that thousands of people worldwide have benefited from the use of Connie's tools and the sessions and the classes she has. And now she shares them with you. Hi, Connie, and thanks for being with me today.
Oh, thank you. It's great to be here.
So let me ask you, have you always been directly connected with Mother God?
Oh, no. Oh, no, no.
No?
No. I was not particularly spiritual or religious as a child and growing up. I even as a late teen, around 18, I had a conversation with God saying, if you exist, you're going to have to prove it to me, because otherwise I'm not going to have anything to do with you. I'm not going to go to church. I'm not going to pray. I'm not going to, listen to anybody preach about you. I'm going on my own. And so if you exist, you have to show me. So about, I don't know, 4 or 5 years later, I went on and went to college, and of course, had a great time, and did whatever I wanted to.
Mhm.
And I had an experience one day when I was walking with a friend. It was a gorgeous sunny day. We decided to lie down on our backs and look up at the sky. And I had this thought, I know there are stars up there. I want to, but I can't see them. I'm going to look for them anyway. So I kind of wanted to explore into the sky and find these stars. And the next thing I knew, I was everything. I don't even know how it shifted. I just shifted from being me lying on the grass looking at the sky to just I think maybe it had something to do with me going into this infinite expanse of the sky. And that infinite expanse just overcame me. I didn't have a body anymore. The earth wasn't there anymore.
Right.
And I don't know how long I experienced it, but nowadays I think this experience is more common. But when I had the experience, it was 1969, and it was unusual. And when I would tell people about it, they'd say, you're on a drug. I would say, no. Then you need to go see a psychiatrist. And I would I actually did a psychiatrist. He had no idea what I was talking about. So I just didn't talk about it as an experience, because what happened is the experience didn't leave me. It stayed with me. So I went on a quest to find if there was anyone else in the world having the experience. And that led me to many different places, reading books, ashrams. And finally, I discovered Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, who was a teacher of meditation. And I had a test. I wanted to look somebody. I thought if I could look someone in the eye and they didn't move their gaze, if they could hold my gaze and stare into my eyes, we could experience that oneness together. We would unify in the oneness. But so far, I hadn't met anyone until I met him, and I had the opportunity to go sit with him and one-on-one. And all I wanted to do was look him in the eyes, because unless he was having the experience, I wasn't going to, participate in his teachings and so on.
May I ask, were you sitting down heavily looking into his eyes, and did he wonder, what on earth is this girl doing?
It's very possible that he did, but I was so intense that it didn't matter. I had stared in so many people's eyes since then, and they probably thought I was really strange.
Oh, wow.
I was desperate to find one other person in the world who was having this experience. And so I did look into his eyes, and I kind of fell into his eyes. And making a long story short, I mean, it was clear to me he was experiencing it much bigger than what I was.
Mhm.
And so I signed on with him, and taught the TM technique, the meditation technique, for about 20 years. And then I started developing this yearning to actually talk to God. And I had questions to ask at that time. The Neil Donald Walsh book was out of Conversations with God. And I thought, I can do that. I want to do that. So that was my second quest, is to learn how to talk to God. And I did that by believing the statement, the kingdom of heaven is within us. Jesus said it, and Maharishi would repeat it, those words, the kingdom of heaven is within. And I decided, okay, if it's within, then I'm going to go find it. So I had a daughter by then who would take a nap, and every day when she was napping, I would close my eyes and say, okay, show me the kingdom of heaven. And nothing happened for a month or 6 weeks. And I just kept persisting. And finally, one day, I saw a sparkle of light in the lower vision of my field.
Right.
And I thought, oh my God, something's happening. It may be just a sparkle of light, but at least it's not as boring as all of this other stuff was.
Mhm.
And I watched the light and followed it. And I got the distinct impression that it was communicating with me, that it was trying to tell me something. But so I just continued to watch it, and it would rise up in a wave, or would fall down in a waterfall, or it would become a soft glow. It could do so many things. And what I noticed is I felt wonderful while I was watching it. And then from then on, when I went into my heaven research every day, I would call on the light. I would say, divine light is filling me now. More and more light is coming. And the light would come, and I would start feeling better. And this went on for, some months. And I finally decided that I was going to try it out on my husband. Because if the light made me feel so good, maybe it would make him feel good.
No.
So if he came home from his office grumpy or grouchy, one night he did, and I started quietly, without him knowing, saying, divine light is filling you, more light is pouring into you, more and more light. And I just kept going on for 5 minutes like that. And he shifted. He changed his attitude and then I knew I was on to something.
But
and
you were
I
doing this
studying
silently, right? You weren't saying these things.
Exactly. I hadn't told anyone. This was my own private research. And so I started testing it on my relatives. And I started saying, this divine light. But by then I had some other methods. I discovered divine love. I discovered divine truth. And eventually these became part of my vibrational tools that I'm offering in this book. I pour the divine qualities into somebody, and they actually change and shift. And in the book, I teach people how to do that, but I've created a lot more divine qualities. And getting back to how I met Divine Mother, one day I was kind of there sitting with my eyes closed again, because all this was inside of me. And I was watching this phenomenon happened regularly, where there would be a total, darkness or silence. And then all of a sudden, a wave of light would come out and rise up. And I would watch this wave as it rose up, and then it would divide. And then those two waves would divide again. And then the four waves would divide, and then they would start interacting with each other. And they were creating flows of light and particles of light. And eventually I watched until they created these particles. And it came to me that those were atoms, and that the atoms were going to create matter, maybe a human body, maybe a fish, who knows? But it was like, wow, who? And then I saw this. I inwardly I asked this question: who are you? I asked it to the light. Who are you? And the answer came back immediately. I am the Divine Mother. I am birthing the universe. And I was stunned and awed and amazed. And I realized, not immediately, but a few days or weeks later, that God had just revealed itself as a personal expression. And so I signed on with the Divine Mother, and I have been working with her ever since. And I've learned to communicate with her. I had to learn how to recognize, to translate, I guess is the best way to say it, a vibrational language into English words, because I was experiencing this all at the level of vibrational frequency and energy. So I've learned how to communicate with Divine Mother. And then once we could communicate, she showed me amazing things, like all the tools in this book I learned from her. And so that's why it's called Divine Mother Healing, Vibrational Healing Tools for Your Body, Mind, and Spirit, because I started teaching people how to do it. And then I realized I've just got to get a book out and encourage people to get the book. And it's really a workbook. It's a book that there's the first 40 pages are my story. The story I just told you is in there. Mm-hmm. And the next, whatever, 100 pages, couple hundred, are these tools that I've discovered, but it's in a workbook format so that people can actually read it, learn them, use them to change negative experiences in life into positive experiences. Do you want me to continue? I'd be happy to go on. I've got a lot to say about this. Unless
you said that there are tool steps, so to say, or
yes.
So during this time of unrest in the world, do you ever find that there's a way when I find myself sometimes sleepless because I'm so worried for the anger and the extremism that is taking everybody apart? What would you say to relieve, maybe help yourself sleep, to go to release that?
Okay. So I agree with you. And we feel helpless when we hear something on the radio, or, the children in Afghanistan are starving and the parents are selling their children for food. I mean, that's horrendous. And so we feel, what can we do? And so one of the things we can do is to pour light into it. And believe it or not, when you say divine light is pouring into Afghanistan, light is pouring into Afghanistan. I've seen it. I've had people experience it, that when I say light is pouring into you, they feel it, they notice it. So we can pour light into these troubled places in the world. To answer your question, I teach people how to do this for themselves, but they can do it for others as well.
Like long distance healing.
Yeah, exactly. Long distance healing or direct personal self-healing.
Yes.
And it does empower you so that you're not afraid anymore. You're working with these divine qualities, the light, the love, the truth. And I have some powerful commands, the go command, which sends the discord into the light. It says go into the light. When you're noticing a heaviness in your heart, or you're feeling like the world is closing in on you, you can say go into the light, go into the light, go, go. And then every thought is a vibration. And if you think a lot of negative thoughts, you've got a lot of negative vibrations around you that have actually created a grid, and the grid can be broken. So the break command, which is in the book, is break, break, break. You just say it. And the reason it works is because in truth, we are all divine beings living in physical form. We are connected to each other through this infinite source. And that is God, the omnipotence, the omnipresence of wholeness, of oneness is God. And then these personal aspects of God, Divine Mother being one, and all of the great beings that we learn about through our spiritual experiences and teachings are the personal expressions of that one infinite wholeness. So you're powerful. You are one of those expressions, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And you call upon this divine in you. So when you say divine light is pouring in to something or someone, it does, because you as a person made in the image of God is saying it. It's actually a beautiful, amazing truth that the intellect, the small ego mind, often doesn't believe. But when you connect with the divine mind, it's obvious that that's the truth. So I'm offering people to connect with the divine mind, which is Divine Mother is a powerful expression of. And then
that sounds pretty pretty amazing. For those that are let's say of other denomination,
yeah,
who may not see or not understand the concept of Divine Mother, could you please define, is this a vibration to you, or is this religiously, um, what I'm saying is, do
right,
you understand what I'm
right.
saying? Yeah.
Yes. No, for me, this is not a religious concept. In fact, a concept is mental.
Okay.
I want people to have the experience of the divine, like I did many years ago, and like I continue to have because I keep referencing it. The Divine Mother wants to have an intimate relationship with everyone on the level of experience, not just believe it because it's a concept and it's a dogma or somebody tells you to believe
Yes.
it.
Thank you.
This is this unbounded, infinite presence that we're all a part of. It's actually difficult to describe because it isn't a thing, but you can experience it. And the heart is a very easy way to experience it. Our minds tend to separate and divide,
Right.
whereas the heart has love itself is a power that unifies. So I teach people how to go into the heart, in the heart. And often you can't go into the heart because the mind is so active.
Right.
So these tools that I've got will help to calm the mind. In fact, one of the most powerful tools is called softening, where I have you soften in the heart, soften in the throat, soften at the brow, third eye, soften at the crown, actually, I literally take you through softening in all of the major chakra centers of the body
I was going to
to
say it.
soften, because
Chakras.
those
Chakras
sound
are here, a lot
chakras.
here. Yeah.
Exactly. And
Love it.
by doing that, the softening expands you beyond the boundaries of the body. When you soften in your heart, we think of the heart as a certain place in the body. And I'm not talking about softening the physical heart, although that too, but you soften in the heart chakra center. And then that could have a limitation or a boundary. So the softening makes the boundaries diffused, and you soften beyond those boundaries. And then you can experience your larger self. So I do in my process, and I teach classes, and I do sessions every week on this. People can tune in if they'd like. I can tell you about that at the end. But I have you soften, and then you expand beyond these boundaries. And one of the things that prevents you from expanding are the blocks in the system. The blocks come from pain, fear, shame, anger, anguish. So anyway, so the go into the light and the break command and the filling you with light dissolve those blocks so that you can soften beyond the boundaries of the body into the space beyond, into the space of the room, and even beyond that, because truly we are all infinite. We're all connected to that infinite source.
What is
So
your
as you
website?
soften,
I'm so sorry.
get there.
What is your website?
No problem. It's divinemotheronline.net.
All right.
Divinemotheronline.net.
And this is something people can use also during their healing of their body, right? I mean,
yeah.
Yeah. So how would you do that?
Lots of people come with physical issues,
Mhm.
and so they come to me, and I use these tools, and I've become very sensitive to finding where the points in the body are that need clearing. But if a person just buys the book and uses the tools as written in the book, they're going to find that they clear their body of blockages. And this book is kind of actually a training manual. It'll train you how to soften and to actually sense and feel the place where the heaviness is in your system, or the pain is. These are all blocks: heaviness, pain. Fear is a block. They contract your system. And what we want is to have the system expansive, because then it's free. Then you have all of your skills and abilities at your disposal, all of your intelligence at your disposal. But when you're contracted out of fear and pain, you're like in a small box. And we have to break out of those boxes. People walk around in small boxes all over the world. Way too many. And so you can break out and connect with this infinite, the divine self.
And the name of your book one more time is?
Divine Mother Healing. Connie Huebner is my name. You can buy it on Amazon or Barnes and Noble, or at my website. You can come there, and there's a place you can click, and it'll take you right to the purchase of the book.
And the name of the website again?
divinemotheronline.net. And I can teach you how to use Divine Mother. I do it in
that
classes.
Sounds great. Well, thank you so much for being with us today.
You're welcome.
It's always very nice to hear a soft voice in the night of so much anguish in the world. And I think we need people like you, and to help ourselves to tune in to the light, as you say, divine mother light. So thank you so much, Connie.
You're welcome. Thanks for inviting me.
and stay well and wear your mask. Or
Okay.
yeah, okay. Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.